Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the World Class Championship Wrestling Review Series. We move through August 9th, 1986. Tim Brooks and the Grappler or Grappler number 2 actually, versus the U.S. Express, the Batten Twins. I will be, as I have been earlier, I will be honest, the Batten Twins are difficult for me to tell apart. So we will say a Batten because I have yet to master telling them apart. Anyway, Brooks is a guy who has been around in various iterations of the world class and big time wrestling territory through in the 70s. He is used as a, I guess, knowledgeable enhancement talent, for lack of a better term here, as a guy who gets the most he can out of the talents and tag off to the Grappler number 2. Grappler number 2, believed to be Tony Anthony at this point, although, and I know he is later, I don't know if he is here, crossbody by one of the Battens, almost gets a near fall. Obviously, we are moving into a time where this becomes a much more enhancement-based territory, enhancement matches on TV, as opposed to marquee matches. Not that they don't have any, but there are stretches of weeks, much like this one, where there's like maybe one main event match, clothesline by one of the Battens early and often, and Grappler is back in control, or back to his corner, makes the tag back to Brooks. Brooks comes in. Obviously, it looks like at the time they want to get more out of the Battens, which doesn't necessarily seem to go very well. As I don't, by the end of the year, they seem to have maybe not disappeared, but been reduced in the amount of television time they're getting. Tag off to the heel corner. The heels are in control before Grappler is backpedaling a few minutes later, and they go back into the corner. Very good tag team match from a standpoint of, if you want to learn psychology and you don't necessarily care who you're watching, like you don't need to be watching stars, this is a good heel psychology process of a match, as the Grappler and Tim Brooks cut the ring off very well. Battens make a couple of, I'd say, medium warm tags. I wouldn't necessarily call them hot tags because the crowd doesn't get 100% unglued, and secondly, I'm not a fan of multiple hot tags in a match. One hot tag is all that's needed, maybe two if the match goes more than 30 minutes, but 3 or 4 hot tags, no, not really a thing. Anyway, tag off to the Grappler. Grappler comes in and manages to miss a big elbow drop. Doesn't get what he wants on that. That causes the Battens to be able to pick up a victory in this first match of the day. They literally got probably 12, 13 minutes out of this, which, I mean, in a 45-minute television program, 45 minutes TV time, that is, that's a big thing, and it's a credit to the Grappler and Tim Brooks that they can get that level of time out of this. The legal man is not thrown over the top rope. Miscommunication between the heels leads to a victory for the baby faces, and then we move to a interview with Chris Adams. Chris Adams talks about facing Buzz Sawyer, facing Matt Bourne, facing various people for his newly won world championship. Talks about wrestling all over the world, from all over North America to Israel and points in between. Really makes it a big deal to be the champion. Credits the fans that he's back in the United States. Then we go to a Rick Rude enhancement match. Perry Jackson versus Ravishing Rick Rude. Rude, of course, the former world-class heavyweight world champion. Interesting that you're putting him in a squash enhancement match here. Maybe, again, it's just filling time. Not really sure what the deal is. Rude can get so much out of anybody that Jackson, who has been on TV a couple of times before, although not many. Does get a few good minutes. Rude uses his physique and power as a deterrent. Jackson goes to the outside. Of course, Percy Pringle on the outside with Rude as his manager and second. Rude manages to get a victory in about 3 minutes or so. Idea to get people to want to see Rude at the main arena. Hits a flying clothesline as a victory point, and then manages to, or almost a victory point, gets a near fall on that. Rude lays across him like he expects the match to be over. That actually fooled me because Rude has used that flying clothesline as a victory. Think about this. We are less than a year from Rude being in the World Wrestling Federation for 87 to 91. So that's a big deal there. Anyway, Rude with the DDT, otherwise known as the Rude Awakening, for the victory. Highlights of Buzz Sawyer and Kevin Von Erich up next. Very short in their procedures. We come into the match in the middle, which I despise. I hate clipped matches because you wonder what happens beforehand. Anyway, the only reason they do the clip here is because Matt Bourne runs in on Von Erich. Von Erich has him in the claw hold, and then we see Buzz Sawyer with a huge press slam. Steve Simpson runs in street clothes. Simpson saves Von Erich. Idea behind this simply to get Simpson to be the guy who is like the number 2 babyface. Challenge made that Von Erich wants both of them again. Kevin coming back because Kerry is nowhere to be found with the injury. Mike will be back more consistently in the weeks and months to come. Challenge is made and accepted for a tag team match here eventually. We do also see a return to Mike Von Erich in there with Buzz Sawyer in a clipped format as well. And I think this was an earlier match because again they spliced it together without giving a great deal of, or actually no, this is Kevin, but again they don't necessarily show the full match. The match has been stopped. They brawl around and high cross body. Buzz Sawyer basically seen to be a major difficult guy to handle. Kevin with the cross body a couple times busts him open with the claw. Buzz Sawyer not happy with this. We will eventually see the Von Erichs against Buzz Sawyer in a more traditionalized match, but that's not this week. Chris Adams and Matt Bourne are given about 12-13 minutes as part of your main event, and it is Adams who is your world champion here. Bourne goes right to town with the stupid punches in the corner thing. I've never liked that spot. Didn't like it when I was a kid. How can you hit a guy 10 times and he's still standing and doesn't have a mark on his face? I didn't get it when I was 8. I don't get it at 39. Anyway, so we see a breakdown by Bourne of the continuation of a reverse chinlock. Obviously, Chris Adams, probably one of the biggest baby faces in the territory at the time, simply because of his multi-year run with the company. And Bourne keeps the match on the mat for several minutes. They basically get like 3 minutes out of a side headlock, working the headlock. When Adams comes back to his feet, manages a super kick. Bourne rolls to the outside to break the plane, thereby not leading to a win for Adams immediately. Adams brings Bourne back in the hard way. Adams now forcing Bourne to carry his weight with the reverse chin lock. That's, I guess, a good thing. Really basic match here in the Sportatorium, but for the overness of Chris Adams, I think you can get something out of this. Also, though, Bourne, not really a guy that has been given a whole lot of promo time. This is back when guys didn't need promo time to get over. Your matches could tell your stories enough for guys to get over. Not that promos don't help, but again, it's a different time, a different era. Guys did not need promos to save their tail and tell their stories. Their matches could do it for them, and I think there's value in that. Several times, Bourne sends Adams to the floor. Would not want to be laying on that arena floor in the Sportatorium for sure. Anyway, Bourne brings Adams back in and goes to town on him for a couple of minutes. Brings him back in through the ropes and manages to land a vertical suplex. Swinging neck breaker. I thought he was going for the vertical. Doesn't manage to get that off. Does manage to get the swinging neck breaker though, and interesting that in a lot of ways, when Bourne goes to the top rope, some could say that there could be a victory forthcoming. Goes for the bombs away, which is just basically a butt splash. Misses though, and it is Adams who comes up. Manages a backslide, 1, 2, 3, and a victory. And we close the August 9th version of the program with that as Bourne doesn't take a back step even though he's lost the match. Actually shoves the referee, but we close with what seems to be less business finished between Adams and Bourne as we move into the middle of August 1986.